Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us on a Sunday. Exciting day for our football program, for our athletic program, for our university. Really excited this afternoon to get a call shortly after 2 o'clock from Jim McVeigh, Troy Atlas with the ReliaQuest Bowl. Of course, offered us the invitation to represent the university, the Big Ten Conference in Tampa, as a member, as a participant in the ReliaQuest Bowl, the 2022, I guess now will be 2023 version of the game. Excited to play a great Mississippi State team. Of course, it's our first appearance in a New Year's Day bowl game. Obviously shifted to January 2nd this year. In a number of years, the highest profile game we've attended since the Rose Bowl in 2008. First time in Florida, actually, since I was still wearing pads back in 1999. The micronpc.com Bowl was our last Florida Bowl appearance in 1999. Just couldn't be prouder of our team, of our coaches, of our players. As you would imagine, a lot has gone into putting us in a position to qualify for a game like this one, and just can't say enough good things about all the hard work, the dedication, the commitment, the sacrifice that has gone into putting our program in this position to play in a game with this level of profile and visibility. Really excited for our student athletes. Of course, we have some of our older guys in particular who have been around for a long time and haven't had the opportunity to participate in the postseason on a regular basis. And so for them to be able to conclude their careers in some cases in a game with this reputation is really exciting for me. A couple of the guys will be available to you here after today, and looking forward to working with them to finish their careers off on the right note. I want to encourage our fans to come down and join us in Tampa. Of course, that's always a big part of the conversation with the people from the bowl games is what kind of a fan following do you have? Do you think they're going to show up? Do you think they're going to come out and represent your university? And so just based on what we saw with the uptick in attendance here in the last half of our home schedule, what we saw out in Las Vegas with our men's basketball team here a few weeks back, our fans have demonstrated their passion and their enthusiasm for what's happening with this athletics program right now, and in particular their excitement about Illinois football. We have a lot of folks who spend some of the winter months down in the state of Florida. We hope they'll make arrangements to come join us in Tampa, but also we hope people have been planning to be a part of the bowl experience with us. We've been eligible for the bowl game now for some time, and so we hope they'll make plans to head south after Christmas and join us down there for what we're looking forward to having a great week with our fans and with so many people who have helped to make this possible. So real excited about where we're headed. Again, grateful to Coach for his incredible leadership. We really, I don't think this is a surprise to anybody. We certainly would not be standing where we are today without all the tireless work that he has put in over these last 2 years to move this program forward, the way that he has connected with our team, the way that he has worked tirelessly on the recruiting trail, the staff that he's brought together, the vision, the standard of excellence, all the things that go into building a program. Coach has brought to the Illinois football program and in particular to the Smith Center. And so grateful to him for his leadership, for all the work that he's put in to get us here. And with that, I think I'll bring him up. I guess questions for me before I step aside?
Yeah, just can you take me through? I know a lot happened this week, especially the Pac-12 title game that could have impact on you guys. What was this process like the last couple of days with you guys?
Just a lot of watching, a lot of waiting to see. We knew that the number of teams from the Big Ten that got pulled into the New Year's Six would have implications for which game we might be in. We knew that if the Big Ten qualified a team into the Orange Bowl, that it would take the game in Tampa off the board for the Big Ten Conference. And so we were watching to see kind of where Ohio State was going to end up, and then, of course, where Penn State was going to end up. And so as some of those pieces started to clarify themselves here over the last 2 days, we had a pretty good sense that this is where we were going to end up. But you never know until you know. And so today, as some of the announcements were made, and then ultimately when we got the call, was a great sense of relief and pride. Excited about where we're headed, and again, grateful to our players.
I kind of mentioned this, but I think Florida has the fourth highest set of state of alumni, for Illinois. Is that there's an excitement there that you're going to a place where there are a lot of orange and blue already in the state?
It's hugely important for us. Obviously, Florida's a premier destination for us in a lot of different ways. As you said, we have a number of alumni down there. We have a lot of people who at least make their home part of the year down in Florida. We have a number of Florida natives on our roster. We have the largest number of Florida players in the Big Ten West on our roster here at the University of Illinois. And so that all, I think, factored into their decision and the interest that they have in us, and I think something that really gets us fired up to go down there and be a part of this.
That's when you were hired coach a couple years ago. Did you expect a New Year's Day game in 2 years? I mean, are you way ahead of the schedule in terms of where you thought it would be?
I don't really sit down and think about it in those terms. I never sit down and think, okay, by date X we should be here and then we should be there. It's really it's all about process. It's all about are we doing the right things in terms of putting one foot in front of the next to build the program into something that can have the sustained success that Bret and I have talked about from our very first conversation. So I always hesitate to put timelines on those things. But all that said, I couldn't be happier to be in a New Year's Day bowl game here just in the second year of Bret's tenure, and certainly I think it bodes well for what the future holds for Illinois football.
What was it like for you just to watch this season unfold and be in contention for the West as far as it was, and now to be here and just kind of see the growth of this in year two?
I'm in a unique position, as you all know. I get to wear multiple hats here, and obviously wear my athletic director hat every day, but I never take off my former player hat as well. And so just to see the way that our guys went out and believed, the way that they went out and competed. We lost a few games we'd like to have back, but they're one-score games. And if you're playing competitive Big Ten football, that's something that we haven't always done here in recent history. And so for us to go out every week and know that we were going to have a chance to win the game, even up in Ann Arbor, and the way that we competed in that game, the most closely competed game that Michigan had this season, I think it really was something that filled me with a lot of pride, but also helped me understand what is yet to do in front of us. And I think that's always got to be the message to our players, to our coaches, to our department. We can allow ourselves to be pleased with the progress we've made. We can't ever confuse being pleased with being satisfied. And so we all understand that we have to continue to push the bar higher. But it was a lot of fun for me to just see the enthusiasm on our guys' faces, to know that they believed that they could win every time the ball got kicked off, and they've earned that right. And with all the work that they put in, with the sacrifices they've made, they've earned the right to go out and have a chance to win the game every time the lights come on. And for them to be able to do that at a high level this year was really rewarding.
Extended Coach Walters, extended Coach Lunny. Can we expect more news along those lines coming in the offseason?
Let me just put the whole playbook. No, I'm kidding. Yes, certainly. I don't think this will be a surprise to anybody. We're incredibly pleased with Coach Bielema's leadership, the entire group that we have in that building, and so we're, as we have routinely over the years in lots of different sports, working actively to try and make sure that we can keep that group together. I'm really impressed with the team that Coach was able to assemble, both on the field but in the offices as well. And as we try and build on this year's success in future years, our ability to try and keep the band together, as they say, will be a really important part of that.
Two Big Ten teams in the college football playoff, Nebraska and Wisconsin, obviously have new coaches with big dollars. What have you seen from the Big Ten in the last 7 years since you've been here, how it's evolved and grown?
It's a competitive league, and I think that excites me. I love, people often ask about, what's your general view on the world as the athletic director, and first and foremost, I'm a competitor, and I love the idea of having the opportunity to go out and compete against the very best. And I think that over the last 7 years, you've seen the Big Ten Conference sharpen itself. It's kind of the old iron sharpens iron concept. I mean, everybody has gotten better, and everybody understands the stakes are high. Everybody understands the opportunity that we have to be associated with the Big Ten Conference. And so as we all have tried to elevate our game, it's put us in a position now to continue to build on that as we move forward. And so I'm proud of the league, and I'm proud of us. And, we've got a lot more work to do, but I think it bodes well for the Big Ten that we continue to find ways to push the needle forward to advance the reputation and profile of the Big Ten Conference, and knowing that University of Illinois is going to be right in that mix as we go forward. Anything else? Okay. Coach, come on up.
Well, obviously Josh said a lot of great things, from a head coaching standpoint to have this opportunity for us. I've always looked at bowl games as not only a kind of a finale, final moment with your team, your roster, your players, your coaches for this past season. It's more of a leap star too to the future, right? Can't tell you how many times I've been involved in a bowl game and you'll have a player emerge during bowl practice that really wasn't on your radar, or a player emerge in a bowl game that hadn't had a chance to do that. So it's going to be also a nice kickstart into the 2023. I think a year ago to be a game short, and this year to be where we are is a good step in the right direction. I get frustrated thinking about what could have been. I think in the out of season this last week I've been traveling a lot, had some things personally to take care of, my wife and I, so I was a lot of times away from my staff this last couple of days, and it made me reflect a lot about what we've done and what we've been able to accomplish. I'm very proud of that, but also realize what's out there. We're 4 games away from being in the conversation of the biggest conversations you can have, right? In the way the Big Ten played out this year, to get 2 teams in the playoffs is exactly what you dream of. So to be part of the ReliaQuest and Jim McVeigh and the city of Tampa. My wife's from Tampa. A lot of you know that. She's a USF Bull. I come home every once in a while. She got one of those ragtag sweatshirts still on. So to be going to Tampa and around a lot of her family and friends will be very, very big this time of year for us personally. But for our team, you'll get to hear from Tariq and Palcho. I think this will be a great opportunity to play Mississippi State, a very talented team, a team with a very talented quarterback. Their defense probably doesn't get enough recognition, so I've taken a peek at them in the last couple of days. Just excited as heck for the opportunity to play an SEC opponent. I don't believe Illinois has ever beat an SEC opponent in bowl games. They're 0-3, so that whole mantra we've been using all year to kind of do something that's never been done before is an opportunity that lies out there. You guys should buckle up. Press conferences with Mike Leach will be at a whole new level. I'm sure we'll feed off each other quite a bit. I'm pretty sure we'll probably talk at some point tonight. He's a very good friend that I met a long time ago, back when he just took the job at Texas Tech. He and I met through some common friends. He was with, obviously, Bobby Stoops, and got to know him through that fashion. Have been with him on several different occasions throughout our careers, both professionally and also some personal time with him on some Nike trips and whatnot. So very, very excited to compete against Mike and his staff. I really haven't had a chance to visit with you guys. A lot of special recognition and awards, obviously, since the last time we got together, to have 19 guys earn all conference status, first string, second string, third string, and honorable mention, to have the most in program history over a 2-year window, to have the most ever in two back-to-back years. I don't even realize some of these awards. I was talking about Chase and Sid. I said, has anybody ever won the Thorpe or the Doak? And they go, Coach, no one's ever been a finalist. So to have 2 guys be finalists for national awards, that who knows when that vote's going to play out, but I've done everything I can. I've emailed, called, texted both those awards to just speak volumes about both those players independently. Just such a unique story, for Spoon to be a guy that didn't even have a ranking coming out of high school. I remember walking into junior college this year, and Spoon was actually there for like 3 or 4 days before his final clearance got him eligible to play. His journey when we got here, I believe he had started 7 games to now. If there's a better DB in college football, I'd love to know who it is, because he is phenomenal. And then Chase, obviously, some very talented backs in the Big Ten. For a guy to rush for over 1,600 yards and be second team All Big Ten doesn't seem possible, but it is what it is. I think it's another great indicator of how special he is to be one of 3 finalists for the Doak, and it speaks volumes for them. Obviously, the Joe Moore Award for offensive line. Just so many great things to be positive and excited about. To move to Tampa now for about a week. I think tentatively right now we'll leave on the 26th and play the game on the 2nd and return home. But hopefully over the next couple of weeks, I'll have a lot of Illinois fans. Maybe when I'm in the community here, my wife just say, "See you in Tampa," right? That's going to be the catchphrase, "See you in Tampa," right? Like, don't have to come up and tell me what you're doing or how you're doing, Coach. See you in Tampa. That'll tell me what you're doing. Love to get a lot of fans there. A great bowl, a great place in this time of year compared to maybe a little bit. I've always loved Champaign, but Tampa in January will be really nice, I promise. So very excited for that opportunity. With that, I'll open it up for some easy questions.
I know a lot of players at this point make decisions based on if they're going to go in the NFL draft or if they're going to play in a bowl game. Do you kind of have a sense of who you're going to have and who you aren't going to have?
Yeah, I've already kind of had some conversations. Immediately when the Northwestern game got over, I had planned to talk with certain guys just based on where they were, who had kind of had those conversations about NFL opportunities. So we definitely have had those conversations. What I did is I basically at that time and even a week ago sat down with a number of guys and said, hey, let's see who the bowl game is, right, and who we're playing, and then let's have a gathering of information, see where it goes. So, we were sitting there obviously waiting to see what happened in our game, but, if obviously Indiana had won or if we had just taken care of our business better in those 4 games, we lost 4 games by 1 score, right? We could get frustrated, but if we would have handled our business better in those 4 games, it wouldn't have even been a discussion, right? And that's the approach that you got to have. I asked all of those guys, I said, if we had won the Big Ten West, would you play in the Big Ten championship game? And they all, of course, said yes. I said, well, let's just stay the course. You were going to play one more game. Let's see where that one more game is at. So I'm sure we'll have more conversations along that, but it's good to have good players that have those options.
How'd you get the extra practices? How important is that, and what do you expect to accomplish in
Well,
those
we already
practices?
practiced twice. We got done with Northwestern on Saturday. By NCAA rules, they changed the schedule, so coaches couldn't go out this first week. So we had 2 practices on Tuesday and Thursday that were a focus on our Devo guys. Our high rep guys would be out there for a little bit of it, and then we went into a Devo practice basically for an hour on Tuesday and Thursday, hour and 15 minutes with all the guys that played low reps. Anybody that's not played, if they weren't playing like 15 or more reps in a game, special teams or anything else, they practiced on Tuesday and Thursday. Really high energy, high spirit. Of course, guys that have exhausted their eligibility, we didn't put those in there as well. So you saw a lot of young players. This week we'll practice on Saturday coming up. They'll work out with Tank Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Over the next 2 weeks, we're going to be on the road quite a bit. But I believe I have it scheduled right now. We'll have 12 practices of the entire team, and we'll have 5 Devo practices. So we'll get an extra 17 practices in, which is actually more than spring.
Did you get a sense it was Tampa, if you did at all?
We were really tracking on 3 games, kept getting brought up to me. I think all 3 were great opportunities. All 3 involved the SEC, so I really Jim McVay, the director of the ReliaQuest Bowl, he and I have gone back a long way. Played in the game as a head coach, went there as a coordinator. Jim is a very big personality, obviously related to the McVays. Unfortunately, his father passed this year as well, so there was some of the same things that we all went through this year, unfortunately. But Jim and I, since day one, have always had a great relationship. So as soon as it even became a possibility, I shot him a text, said, hey, I'm looking forward to hopefully working with you, and couldn't be more excited.
After a week or so to reflect, what does this season, and you can be on the road quite a bit,
Yeah.
what has this meant when you're, it's not the dream anymore, it's more tangible in what you have? And then,
as you guys know, roster management is like one of the greatest things as a head coach you got to go through. Roster management is the acquisition of new players and the maintenance of the ones you have. And our roster right now, our 85-man scholarship roster, with the players we're going to leave, when I got here, there was just a lot of transition, right? The guys that didn't fit our system maybe weren't where we needed it to be, and our roster keeps getting deeper and thicker. One of the key factors this year was, we're still thin at certain positions, so we're trying to up the ante there a little bit. But it's fun because I keep telling our coaches all the things you've been working for, you can see them manifest, right? But we're 4 games short of our dream, right? Like we want to be in the college football playoffs, and we played Michigan to the bitter end, right? And realize that moment hopefully now will catalyst to us to show, hey, this is where you're capable of. But on the same account, right, to lose to an Indiana team that's not bowl eligible, to lose to a Michigan State team that's not bowl eligible, right, and then to lose a 1-score game to our Big Ten West representative in the championship game, which obviously, it shows where we're at, right? But we can't let those opportunities go past us.
Tommy DeVito, is he out of eligibility, or are you guys going to apply for a waiver? What's the future?
I don't really ever comment on current player status, right? But I think it's been shown in the past. We got Jake Hansen next year. We got Marquez and Pouch. If any player on our roster that we feel can help us win a championship can gain a bonus year, I would bet a lot of money that this head coach and our coaching staff and our athletic department will do it.
How important is the quarterback position going forward with?
Well, Tommy's growth this year from our offense, to be a team that last year was really literally last in several categories, right? But to have a quarterback that now leads one of the top 5 completion percentages in college football, right? Like, it's just the amount of growth offensively. And Barry and I have been talking a lot about statistically, there was a lot of comparatives where our offense is this year and then to what he did in year 2, right? Quarterback play is going to drive a lot of that, obviously. But I just think, Tommy, in my opinion, for what a quarterback did in our conference, I don't know if there's a quarterback that did as much in a year as him. And I know you can only have a first string, a second string, and a third string, but I've told him all along, to me, he's the first string quarterback in our conference. But obviously, I don't get to vote as much as everybody else. But Tommy's been very impressive, and I think it's exciting to see what he'll be able to do in a bowl game.
You have been to a lot of these New Year's Day games over the years, the course of your career. What's it mean, year 2, to be going to one with Illinois? Well,
I think I'm going to meet with our players at 4:30. And I want to tell them, hey, it's going to be a reward, right? It has to be a reward, right? So anything that the NCAA says we can give them, we should give them, right? I remember being at a bowl game early in my career where I got a toothbrush, right? I was a defense coordinator. I got a toothbrush that said Wisconsin football. And I'm like, why do we give everybody a toothbrush? And the reply was because there was 95 cents left in the budget, right? So by NCAA rules, the players are allowed to get $400 worth of gifts. They should get $400 worth of gifts. We should treat them, because this is a reward for all that. There's so many times where we have to tell a player no. This is an opportunity to say to a player, this is the way we're going to treat you, right? You build a culture so that next year or the year after, or there's a freshman sitting in the back of the room, he wants this to be repeated behavior, right? So it has to be a reward for our coaches, our administration. I love it. Like, I'm serious. Like, I got to fill up with gas, right? And I usually have a couple guys grab me at the gas line, right, and say something to me. And I hope I hear a lot of "see you in Tampa," because it should be a reward to this community, right? It should be a reward to the athletic department, the university, all the people that believe in the ILL, people that are, across this country. If they can't go to Tampa, they have a game watch. It just continues to breed the culture that we want to do. And then specifically for us as a football coach, to play an SEC team on January 2nd, we are going to, as a lot of you know, we use a lot of social media campaign. We will blow it out in that regard. We recruit heavily in Florida, so that will be a big deal for those parents to be able to drive and watch their sons play. It's a big deal. So there's just so many positives. And then all these awards that our players have accumulated, right? Like, it just, we've got this thing going, right? Like, it's beginning to go, right? We just got to make sure we keep putting the right fuel in the tank, keep getting checkups and maintenance on our ride as we get rolling. To work with Josh on a daily basis is just so rewarding to work. He says he wears many hats. His hat as a former player. Like, to me, I don't think anybody can realize how much value there is in that, right? He bleeds it, he lives it, and now that we got to go in the right direction, he supports it really well.
You played the last game from here to go to Junior One Bowl in 7, 8. Just kind of matching that group. You play them. Is it kind of cool to be where they were?
Oh, you talking about Mississippi State?
No, Illinois in 07.
Oh.
You played that team.
Oh, did I? Yeah, I have no idea. Your mind's as good as mine. Did we play?
I think they beat you.
I got you.
Doing something that hadn't been done in a long time.
Oh, yeah. I think the one I'm going to hang my hat on is, if we're 0-3 in bowl games against the SEC, I promise you that's going to be my motto. I think the thing, though, is that, like, this is the last time I rode over here with Tariq and Pouch, right? Like, there's just these little moments in time. I talk about it all year, and I bring the seniors in, and I tell them literally in that first team meeting that this is the first of last. So this fall, when we got together for the first time, I brought those seniors in. I said, this is the last first meeting of the year you'll ever have together, right? I told them about a month ago, I said, during our bye week, right, you're gonna close out. This is going to be the last regular season practice. It's going to be the last regular season game. And it sounds silly, right? We all know we get to play the game, but for me, right, and especially the last couple of weeks I've had to have former players that I played with, right, that I realize I haven't seen in 20 years, right, that I haven't maybe heard from in 15 years, right? Like there's these unforgiving moments where there's such value in it. We're going to go to Tampa. I promise you on that Monday night, we're going to have a little shindig with them out of the gate, kind of give them the schedule. And we'll do as many fun things as we can, but we're going to focus, especially as that game gets closer, to winning that football game. It's a celebration, it's a moment, it's a bowl game. My parents would tell you to this day that their favorite memories of all the games were their bowl games, right? Going and getting to be around their parent or the other family's parents, and there's a lot of special memories that will be built in the next month.
You go on the road tomorrow, and when the portal opens, do you feel good about the NIL situation that you're working with?
Yeah. So great point. So the NIL world is alive and kicking. I mean, they've made rules already that's changed. So literally, in bye week 1 and 2, I had conversations that you can't have anymore, right? Like there's rules that have changed that I think are for the good, right? And kind of reining it in, but still an uncharted world. In a lot of different ways. I know we got new direction, leadership on some things that are happening here on campus that I'll let that happen and matriculate when it does. But again, Josh and his staff have been very proactive in the NIL establishment and development. I think it'll be at a new level for us here at the University of Illinois in the coming year because we kind of had it in place. You know, Pouch has had a couple, Tariq's had some opportunities, but when this thing jumps into next January, right, like now you start talking about players that could leave for the NFL or come back, that's when those NIL conversations are getting more real, right? And very excited. I kind of, as an NIL head coach, you're really cautious because you don't want to do anything you can't do or say anything you can't do, but I can raise money for the collective and do all that we can, but I can't be directed in how it's going out, right? But I do know, well, we can talk about what some of our players have gotten, and some of our players have done very well, and I think it's only a scratch the surface of what they're going to do.
These next 3 weeks, what do they mean for the program when it's transfer portal, early signing period? What's this like for you?
Yeah, I just had another non-scholarship player come in today. It's going to portal. We had 2 guys that have indicated they're going to jump in the portal. I don't really see, our players are pretty honest and transparent with me. I know there's a couple guys that may think of it just with depth at their position, but I think we do a good enough opportunity or do enough good things in our building that kids don't want to leave, right? We had a couple kids leave last year within our conference, and their numbers weren't near as productive as the ones when they were here, right? So I think there's good examples of, hey, the grass isn't always going to be greener, right? And as a matter of fact, we had 2 leave, right, to win the Big Ten programs that aren't going to bowl games, right? So, like, I'm sure there's all the facts. We'll put that stuff out there in front of kids. I'm very transparent with where they stand and what they got to do. We treat them pretty well, so I don't foresee a big. I'm more concerned. We probably have 7 to 8 players that, in my opinion, might be draft eligible. It's a matter of deciding where they're going to go and what they'd be happy to settle for.
It's no secret that Ryan's a pretty popular guy. What's this last week or so been like in terms of, do you give him, like, how does the space and the conversations with him, and what have those conversations been?
Ryan is obviously a very good football coach. Good football coaches become head coaches, and I tell everybody in that room, I literally just had a pretty good, intense meeting about a week ago, and as college football was going to open up, I try to be proactive and say, listen, from the GAs in the back of the room to the coordinators that are sitting right next to me, opportunities are going to come, right? If you have success and you're good, opportunities will come. I'm here to help you, but just because an opportunity comes doesn't mean you need to take it, right? There were several things during my career that I wanted to take, and other coaches talked me out of it, and thankfully they did, because it promoted me to the position that I'm in today. And I think if I would have taken about 2 or 3 different options along the way, I would probably never be where I am today. And so that's why I say, like, just I can have difficult conversations. I don't mind having difficult conversations. And Ryan and I, I tried to help him, prepare him, guide him. Josh has met with him, open door about anything that he wants to pursue. So he's literally kept me in the loop. I did give him some time to interview with people. It's just I think as a head coach, like I said, I always got a ready list of 3 people. If Ryan gets his opportunity, obviously I'd pat him on the back, wish him all the best luck, and then we'd move to the next step. But Ryan and all my coaches are going to get pursued. As long as we keep getting good, we're going to keep getting people trying to take people from us.
How do you get as a staff, how do you get the players past those feelings of what if or missed opportunities and get them motivated to play the bowl game?
See you in Tampa. right? I mean, that's the reward, right? Like we lost 4 opportunities, but we gained this one, right? And I would say I appreciate the question, but I think that's probably more of an off-season. Like how do we put ourselves in a position to be, on the other side of those 4 games? Indiana is, I don't know if we were ready to win yet. Michigan State was a game that came in and they outplayed us, and then I executed us. Purdue was a tough battle that got down to a couple key plays, and Michigan was a tough road loss that will bite you many times over. We played some good football in that game, but there was enough plays that didn't go our way that we have to try to create those moments. So all 4 of those will be learning experiences, and hopefully we